All right, folks, and we're live. Welcome to another video. God, it just feels like a story as old as time. You guys, Costco, where's the drop, man? Where's the market crash? Where's the product crash? We're waiting for it. We were told all over social media. We talked about it briefly last stream that there was this big old batch that apparently was showing up on the back end of Costco, and crash ain't here, folks. We did not see the drop that we were anticipating for those premium Charizard collections. So gotcha, I guess. But before we jump into it, Alex, anything you want to say?
Nah, man. I mean, these days I try to stay out of the drama as much as I can. So when people come to me with this nonsense these days, I just kind of nod along and say, "Well, good luck," or best of luck to you. But it's funny because I don't reveal any names, people that give me information, but I do talk to someone who he does run a program similar to Poke Notify, and they have bots and they have all that stuff set up. And even he was reaching out. He's like, "Hey, where did you get this information about this giant Costco drop? We're not seeing anything from anything we're picking up. We're looking at like Costco warehouse supply. He's going to all these different things, and he's like, I see nothing of the sorts." And I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's the internet. I just go along with it. And so I was already pretty certain it wasn't coming, but I just let people go on believing whatever they want to believe, because at this point, man, I think people become so tribal that if whoever they are listening to or believe says something, they're going to believe it no matter what anyone else has to say. So it's not really worth arguing with anyone anymore.
Leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, of course. And if you want to check out Alex's channel, links down in the description below for that. But yeah, no, I don't know. Here's the thing. I hadn't heard anything about it until it was briefly mentioned as a rumor on last stream. And we were like, if this happens, obviously that could be huge for a market correction. But realistically speaking, you will see this item still correct when the second wave happens. That's still going to be a massive thing that's going to cause prices to drop. But now it's like, okay, how much will it drop realistically?
Yeah.
Because how do I want to articulate this? So it was obviously, like I just said, brought up to me for the first time on last stream about this Costco drop. I did a little bit more investigating into it because I wanted to see the legitimacy of it. So I went on Reddit, went and deep dived on that in Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. And I just couldn't find anything other than, hey, we have this drop that's occurring. The sources that we have are from people that have sources of sources that literally said on the back end they could see the inventory and that it was coming in. And it was just like the most thin veil BS I've ever seen. And it just is like, we've said this before, and I'll keep saying it again. These people just lie. They just literally lie. And there has been some reports of specifically Discord groups or notification groups that purposely push these rumors out just to try and get people to sign up for their monthly program that they pay like $7-8+ a month to be able to get access to when drops happen. And they hope that you kind of forget that they mentioned on one of their channels that this drop might be happening, so that you will still stick around to buy their monthly membership and then see drops for other stuff. But
yeah,
it's just it's legitimately come a business model now for some people to just do notification drops because it's good for them to have stuff like this happen. And so why not just have these rumors float? And here's the thing, right? I'm not saying they go actively and put it on their own channel that we've seen this drop, but if they have someone do it and then they hear rumors from someone else and they're just like, hey, we've heard about this rumor. We can't confirm if it's real or not, but it starts to have such a veiled fabrication that you don't know or became from its source. It doesn't matter. It's still you mentioning it and them using that as a way for them to sell stuff, and they won't be held liable regardless of whether it actually happens or not.
And by the way, these groups make tens of thousands and some make hundreds of thousands of dollars per month.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally, know some people, and that, we've talked and we shared screenshots and stuff. And so I know what these people make. They make insane amounts of money off these groups. So it's in their best interest to continue to have people sign up and continue to grow that income. But the other thing I wanted to say is they're very, put it this way, they know what they're doing because it's the perfect chess move. I'm not saying they're playing 3D chess or anything, but it's a very good chess move. And I'll tell you why. Because they can leak something, any rumor they want. And then think about this. It's for the betterment of the community, of the hobby, right? Because you're saying something, it's going to bring prices down. Everyone's happy. There's going to be more product available. Screw the scalpers, all that stuff. And then if someone like me or you comes out against it, we're the bad guy immediately. Oh, you just don't want people to have product. You don't want prices to go down. That's why you're saying it's not true. And so it's like they've immediately created an enemy. They've immediately made them the good guy, you the bad guy, and they can continue to say whatever the hell they want because it gives people hope. And it's just at some point, people are probably going to catch on and be like, okay, there's been too many things that don't come true at this point. It's all BS. I'm going to start listening to people who actually have, distribution or actually have inside knowledge because, guys, just because somebody can make a group or build a following on social media does not mean they have any idea what they're talking about.
I mean, here's the deal, guys. I would have loved it. Like, I legitimately would have loved it if it were true, because at the end of the day, it means one step in the right direction towards some products being more affordable for people. So it would have been awesome. I would have been stoked. But ultimately, I don't want to have false hope be put out there for no reason. And so it's like, if I'm the bad guy, like Alex is kind of saying, or if we're the bad guy because we have certain things that we would like to, of course, happen, but we're not going to really kind of talk about it unless we feel like there's any validity to it, or we're not going to confirm it unless there's any validity to it. And then people get mad about it. It's like, sorry, guys, like you can try and throw motive one way or another, but it goes both ways, right? I could feed into the lie, and then people will say, oh, the only reason why you fed into the lie is because it could be good for my retrospective business, or it could have been the other way around, and I could have not fed in the lie because it could have been good for my business that it doesn't happen, right? Like it doesn't matter. You can always find a way to like angle it based off of what your bias is, because people want obviously to live in their echo chamber and they want to basically have what they want to happen, and they'll find anything they can to, I mean, dude, it's
look at your average player. It's perfect statement. People do know Eli makes money on selling volume, right?
Yeah, seriously.
You don't make money off how high or low the price of an item
You know how
is.
good it would be for the program if products became available again at distribution? It would be so good for the program. So it's like, I don't know, it's dumb. I don't think people understand. It's kind of like, here's a good analogy. It's like, imagine someone is a sports bettor, right? And they're a huge fan of a specific bet that they want to make. And the entire lead up to their bet, all they're doing is going and watching highlight clips of that team and why like they think that this bet is going to hit. But in reality, it has no bearing on the actual like reality of whether the bet hits or not. They're just purposely seeking out things that are going to feed into what they want to have happen. So it's like, it's just crazy. Like you could say the same thing about crypto. It's like, oh, I went and picked up Cardano. Let me go watch 1,000 videos that all say why Cardano is the best thing, and ignore any other videos that might say it's not a good time to invest. You know what I mean?
It's like, and there's just a lack of critical thinking. It's just like, saying something is good for someone else without even with any type of idea of why that way. Put it this way, like someone says like, well, it's better for streamers that packs are more. Is it? If I had to pay $10 for a pack and then sell it for 12, let's say, even 11, right? How is that better than if a pack's $3 and I sell it for 4? Because one, the margin is going to be better than the actual profit margin is better from 3 to 4 than it is from 10 to 11 or 10 to 12. And also I'm going to be able to sell exponentially more because more people are going to feel more comfortable buying when packs are cheaper. It's insanely more in my interest for packs to get cheaper again and more widely available and be easier to source. It's insanely better for you because your whole program is built on everyone getting enough of the product that they want, being able to open up more spots and have more people in your program to be able to, provide more people with numbers from distribution. It's like, but if we talk against anything out there that's possibly providing hope, we're immediately the bad guys. Even when it's not in our interest to talk against it, we're just telling the truth that we're giving you the actual facts that are known. we're not playing the game of guessing or trying to like create rumors. And apparently that's just not the right thing to do in today's environment. And so that's why I just stopped talking about it, man.
Golly, we're just a bunch of haters, Alex. That's the reality
The
of the
best thing is just not
situation.
talk about it, dude. Just when someone tells you, people reach out to me all the time, dude. Like almost almost every day. I'll get at least one Instagram, share, a Discord message, an email, something. And I'll be like, Alex, have you heard about this? Nope, haven't heard about it. Good luck, though. Like, best of luck. Hope you get some, because there's a new rumor every day about some drop. It's overwhelming at this point.
Yeah. I think that right now, unless we have actual video footage of product being on certain shelves, right? Or of course, actual legitimate reprints coming from distributor pages, just don't man. just don't believe it. Like, it's a lie. Like, people are fooling you. So I think like I said before, I think we can still realistically talk about a price target of these UPCs dropping closer to MSRP. I still think that's on the table, depending upon how much the lead up in prices from when the actual like second wave happens. I mean, my sources have been telling me that these, and my sources, I literally just mean my distributors, have been telling me, I had a conversation about last week that, we should be seeing it sometime in the next couple weeks. So, take that as you will. Pokemon has had a lot of delays lately, so we have no idea if that goalpost can kind of change for when we anticipate the date's going to happen. If we're looking right now, the price, I mean, lowest listed with a Gold Star verified seller is 176. So it does seem like it's kind of found its floor around this 170 price point. And unless, over the next 2 weeks to a month, we see it just climb above $200, like I said before, I think 120, 130 is not super far out of the question. But like we've said many times before, once you start getting closer to that MSRP marker, it definitely becomes a lot less appealing from a scalper perspective to have this item. But I will say this, is there anywhere at this moment in time where you can even scalp this product for MSRP? Because I know a lot of people would typically scalp this at GameStop, but GameStop's selling it for 200 from what I've seen online. So where would you even buy this item for scalpers to pick up at 120?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm sure someone that runs some of those notification programs knows sites to bot from or whatever. But off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah, so it might be one of these weird situations where we might actually have an item be close to MSRP and it doesn't like kind of become a waterfall scenario where it kind of plummets after that because scalpers can't get access to this item because they have nowhere to buy it at MSRP. And who knows, maybe that still might cause even more downfall of a price point, but you could easily make an argument that you don't have that kind of waterfall effect from the get-go, just based on the fact that there's just not going to be a ton of people dumping this product. But who knows, right? We're in a very speculative time right now in the market where emotions are definitely a little bit more skittish on the direction of where things are going to go.
Yeah, and I did get a little scary comment in my video today. So someone left a comment saying, I only buy at MSRP because then at least I know I'm buying the bottom. And I corrected them, and I said, I agree with you that MSRP. I said something along the lines of, I agree MSRP is a very safe entry point, especially if you're holding long term. But make no mistake, it is nowhere near the bottom. Up until about a year and a half ago, almost every product was under MSRP after release, and quite substantially below it on a lot of things. So don't get into thinking MSRP is the bottom. It's definitely not the bottom.
We talked about this on last stream where I had someone on the release of Prismatic tell me that they weren't going to pick anything up because they wanted to wait until it hit MSRP, because there's no way that an item would ever be that high above MSRP. Like, it's going to, of course, come back down. So there's a lot of, we've said this before, with a lot of markets, when things are going really, really well, you have a lot of people that hop in very late and they have absolutely no clue what they're talking about because they've only been in the market for 6 months, less than a year. And then you have individuals that haven't gone through the market cycles that we have. And so they make a lot more emotional decisions based off of the short stint of time that they have had in the market and the experiences that they've gone through. And to us, it might seem nonsensical and it might seem kind of dumb to do. But in reality, to them, they just don't know anything other than that. And that's where a lot of these market cycles tend to see the volatility from, is emotional decisions being made by people that are just not informed.
And unfortunately, nuanced conversations like this aren't really rewarded by audiences on YouTube. That's why a lot of my videos are very like hyperbolic and like, like straight to the point, hard takes and things, because that's apparently what the YouTube algorithm likes to push and what's get the views and the engagement. But, a lot of people don't want to sit and have a conversation and say, yeah, there's going to be some things to get reprinted. We might see some of these sets hit MSRP. We'll probably see some, future sets hit MSRP and even go below it. But there might be other sets like Prismatic or Destined Rivals that never see MSRP again, and everything in between. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear everything's going to crash. It's all going to MSRP or below. Or they want to hear it's all going to the moon. We're never going to see MSRP again. It's just like, guys, there's so much nuance in between. Every set's different. Every release is different. What products get reprinted, how big the reprints are, when they go out of print, how old. There's so many different things to talk about, but no one wants to hear that, right? That's boring. We got to be one side or the other, and we're all in, baby.
Got to be in a camp. Which one are you a part of, right?
That conversation is no fun. We can't have that. So
yeah, can't play the field. That's just not fun, man.
We can't like say, hey, some of these things are true. Like the Charizard UPC second wave, it is coming. It is big. The Phantasmal Flames second wave is coming. These are going to drop the prices. But then we can't say like, hey, this Costco drop might be BS, guys, or hey, I don't think this stuff's going to drop to MSRP right now. It's like people want one way or the other. You got to be all in or all out,
Yeah, 100%. So I think, has your kind of stance changed at all on the Phantasmal? Do you think that, where are you price point wise thinking still?
I'm still pretty confident in the 220 to 230 range after the and I don't know if it's going to stay there long, but I think you'll have a chance to open market, eBay TCG player from legitimate sellers, all that good stuff, to probably find them in the 220, 230 range after the next wave gets here. I know my local card shop, a lot of you guys know Collector Store. I believe they might be still available online. They had Mega Evolution marked down this weekend to $219.99.
Wow.
So, I know that's not the market price. It's just one seller, but the deals are out there if you look around, and you can find them from legitimate sellers. It's no BS. And I do think Phantasmal is going to get there. I think the Charizard UPCs, I don't know if they'll get to MSRP, but I think we'll probably see sub 150, maybe even sub 140s at least. But again, like I can say that, but I can also say, guys, Destined Rivals is not going to crash unless we get massive resupplies, probably multiple times. Or guys, Prismatic Evolutions, I still believe is a great pickup at the current prices. Like, but I can say both at once. It's like I don't have to, get in the camp of market crash or market to the moon to say these things, right? It's like I think the first block of Scarlet Violet is a very safe pickup on all those sets. I think Sword and Shield during this pullback is a great time to pick it up. I also think you might want to wait on some of these brand new stuff. I think we're going to see some pullbacks, right? Like you have to kind of take whatever the market gives you, whatever kind of shift it goes through, and make your decisions based on that. But again, back to the YouTube audience, I made a video a few days ago, and there was like, saying things like, oh, changing his tune now, now he's, admitting it's crashing. It's just like, I'm changing my tune because I'm saying that, we need to stop, buying things right at release like we were for the last 6 months, when pretty much everything you bought in the last 6 months, you're still up if you bought it at release, right? Journey Together, you're looking at Destined Rivals, we're looking at, Surging Sparks, on and on, right? And it's just like, as markets shift, you got to shift your way of thinking. That's where the whole like joke about the I'm going to wait crowd the whole year it was funny because it was a bad idea to wait. Now we're back to the point where it makes sense to wait again. Things are always changing. You got to change the way that you approach it.
Here's my thing at this point. I said this last week for Phantasmal. If we're just going off of what happened with Mega was at 300 before the second wave happened, and it at its lowest got down to 240. So if we just say that Phantasmal right now is at 270, that's about a $30 difference from where Mega was before the second wave occurred. So it makes sense in my mind that if we just take where the low was for Mega, which is 240, we just take that $30 difference and we just say Phantasmal is closer to 210. It could be 220. I think that's kind of the range I'm looking for, 210, 220. could go lower, could go higher. That's kind of where my belief is. I don't think anything's really changed on that right now. I will say Mega has slightly started to rebound a little bit in price. I don't know if you've paid attention to that. It's not like a crazy adjustment, but it looks like it's trying to climb back up to 250. So I mean, unless we get more supply of that, I don't really anticipate that that's going to kind of drop any lower just based off of where the price changes have occurred.
Dude, could you imagine?
Huh?
Could you imagine if we like got on here every day and pulled up like an S&P index or like a mutual fund? We pull up a bunch of like Vanguard, Fidelity, mutual funds, and we were like, all right, guys, so this week it looks like it's up 1%. Oh, this week it's down 0.25%. It's just like, I think people are just, I understand that we all want to be really engaged and look for plays, but if you're looking at long-term investing in this stuff, you have to look at it as such, right? You're not getting on your investments, looking at them every single day. And also, overall, when you take in all the boxes, right, you're seeing very little fluctuations, like 10 to 20% in either direction. This is nothing to be concerned about. This is nothing to tell you it's time to buy, it's time to sell. These are times of the market is stabilizing. It's finding, a range to trade in. It's probably going to stagnate. There'll be times when some of the boxes start to rise. This is a very normal market. We've been in an abnormal market for the past year, right? We're getting back to normalization. Whereas if you're looking for an average of 10% a year in mutual funds and index funds, even if you make an average of 25, 30, 35% a year, it doesn't have to be hundreds of percent. You're still doing far better. And so it's like, when you're looking at these boxes day to day, you're like, Alex is still 250. Alex is still 250. Oh, it's 230. Alex, it's 270. Alex, it's like, well, dude, what about, a year from now? Why don't we look at it again next December and see what everything's risen? And I guarantee you, just like I said at the beginning of the year, you're probably going to be a lot better off owning one of every box than not owning one of every box when next year comes along.
All right, new sets. I assume you haven't seen anything about the leaks, or have you?
Well, I mean, I've seen some Mega Dream. I'm guessing that's the leaks from Ascended Heroes, or do you know?
Yeah.
Okay. What about it?
Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen some of them.
Any thoughts on the set overall? Any speculation on one way or another?
It's strong, man. I think it's going to be good. I think it being a strong set, coupled with the fact that it's a specialty set, coupled with the fact it's going to have waived releases that are going to make it extremely scarce, especially in the beginning. I think it's going to be a problem pre-release, a problem on a release day, and a problem for the first few weeks, a month of release until more of the products start to make their way to the market, because it's going to be opened like wildfire and it's going to be scarce.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this on last stream on what our kind of thoughts were out the gate, what some of the prices are going to be for the packs. I think we said like $10+, which sounds insane to say, but I mean, there's two things we said to pay attention to, guys. It's watch the price of the second wave for Phantasmals / the UPCs, and then pay attention to obviously what the prices are going to be out the gate for this, specialty set that comes out, because both of these items, obviously, we're going to see the effects of how much supply is going to happen when the second wave comes. And then for this other item, it's anticipated to be a really strong set. So if out the gate, you don't see it perform extremely well under scarcity, definitely be nervous for when the booster or the ETBs come, because it's going to, it will cause prices to correct.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I see people in chat about One Piece. It's funny, especially when you've been in the hobby as long as us. I mean, I've seen people try to jump to, one thing after another, and usually it doesn't work out. Constantly trying to move your money around. It doesn't work in the stock market. 93% of traders lose money, or whatever it is. It doesn't work, right? It works in the Instagramification and the Discordification of life, where everyone just posts nonsense all day and everyone's winning. Everyone buys at the exact low and sells at the exact high. Everybody's making money. Everyone's got millions in product. But in reality, the people who usually make the most with long-term investing and build wealth are the ones that continue to stay the course, continue to build positions, don't sell off emotion, make strategic decisions, don't jump on whatever's hot the day of. And you know, if One Piece is your thing, by all means, like get on it, but get on it long term. If One Piece popularity goes down in a year, don't jump off One Piece and go back to something else. Now we're going to Magic. Now we're going to, you know, it's like you have to let things develop over time. And by time, I don't mean when your interest wanes. I don't mean in 6 months, a year. You have to let it build for years and years. And that's how wealth is built. So guys, look, I know One Piece is doing good right now. Maybe it continues, but I wouldn't be like jumping all your money from one place to the next, because usually it doesn't end well for people.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think it'll be a cool set. I mean,
hold on, freaking out. One last thing, guys. Crypto's a perfect example. All right.
Oh yeah.
I can go back on my videos and I can show you comments on the day they were commented, and I can show you where crypto was. I can show you Bitcoin at 120 something a coin. People saying I'm selling all my Pokemon right now. I'm putting it into Bitcoin. And I promise you what they sold, if they actually did, if any of it's real, they are down exponentially more right now on Bitcoin than if they would have kept all their Pokemon sealed booster boxes.
I mean, not to mention too, I know people don't like me to say this statement, but you have to also consider that Pokemon actually might be more volatile in the long term than Bitcoin when it comes to your rate of return on investments, in a good way, right? Because when we talk about volatility, it can go both ways, but realistically, like crypto has seen a huge tumble, where Pokemon right now, okay, yeah, we've seen 20%, maybe on the high end 30% corrections with some items, but a lot of them have begun rebounding again. You're not seeing that kind of thing happen with crypto. And although there is corollary factors that I feel like you can tie into these two, we've talked about this forever now. Just from a general safety net perspective, I feel like you're going to still feel much, much better with Pokemon when you know it's deflationary with sealed, because you know they're going to obviously be mining Bitcoin and there's a reserve supply that's going to keep adding onto the market, and there isn't a floor that you feel safe about in the same way as you do with Pokemon, right? Like if I have a booster box of Pokemon, historically speaking, I don't think there's ever been a time in history where we've ever seen a booster box fall more than below 10 to like 15% of wholesale costs, right? Okay, where's that baseline floor for crypto? Like there isn't. There legitimately isn't a baseline floor for crypto where you could say, I feel safe that Bitcoin will never fall below this price point, right? And so I just feel like having that kind of safety net where you know you can dollar cost average into a position, because we have more metrics and we know that typically when corrections happen, and I'm talking major corrections, I'm not talking about like a rinky dink, 20, percent move that happens and then it just rebounds several months later. I'm talking like 50+%. That comes from supply being added on the market very predictably, and you being able to know when that happens. So you can make moves. Where crypto, a crash occurs and it just comes out of nowhere. And you're just like, okay, like maybe something you can make an argument for causes a crash to happen from some sort of speculative news. But most of the time, it's just the ebb and flow of how the crypto market works.
Yeah. And one thing I don't think people like take advantage of enough either is, there's no buying into crypto at discounts. I mean, maybe you could say, oh, I arbitrage it from one platform to the next. I don't know how much that really is done anymore anyway. But like, guys, especially the 200 and something people that are in this stream and we're the few thousand that'll watch it. You guys are like the top, percentile of this hobby. Whereas I'm sure most everyone in here knows how to find deals, and you're buying under market. And even sometimes you probably find good enough deals where you could almost arbitrage it and resell it for even a small profit or to break even immediately. And so this idea that, it's all apples to apples, it's not, because if I want to buy into Bitcoin right now, I got to pay whatever, 85,000 a coin, right? If I want to buy into, Evolving Skies, I'm not going to pay $2,200 a box. I'm going to go shop around, I'm going to reach out on people or platforms. I'm going to make deals. I can find it cheaper than that. And so if you can go out and find deals that are 95, 90%, 85% of market, then you're already getting in far under what the market price is, where you can't do that with stocks and crypto, right? Unless you're like, in a company, you're getting stock options or whatever. And so that's not talked about enough. Whereas, there's then obviously if you have an LLC business, there's tax implications that affect your business that you can actually use to grow your wealth even faster in Pokemon. I don't know, man. I just think there's a lot of unspoken advantages that people don't mention enough.
Well, and another thing is like, yes, you can dollar cost average into both, but I remember, because I've been following crypto for almost a decade now. I remember that during the first real large, like, I'll say traditional market cycle, right? Like 2017, you had a lot of people that were into like Litecoin. That was a big thing back in 2017. Litecoin was huge, right? And people were, at its peak, it was right around $300. I think like 280, something like that.
It was top 3 coin.
And it was a top 3 coin. And everyone was saying how it was going to be faster when it came to transaction times compared to Bitcoin. It was cheaper to transfer. And, the price of the coin went down to $200. And people were like, dollar cost average. Then it went down to 150, then at 100, then all the way down to $20. And you saw the coin retrace 95%. And I knew so many people that were like, oh, well, I can dollar cost average. I can dollar cost average. I can dollar cost average. But they kept doing it to a point where at some point, a lot of people just said, I'm just going to completely cash out because this thing's already down 95%. And then a lot of people stuck around, but their dollar cost average entry point position was so much higher because they were putting in a lot of their dollar cost averaging near the halfway point before it dropped another 50%. You're not going to realistically experience that with Pokemon when you're talking about things that are significantly closer to an actual baseline, because the cryptos don't have baselines. But
not only that, dude, here, bring it even closer to today's day. Cardano. Dude, Cardano, not too long ago, everyone was on Cardano. Everyone was pumping it. It's down 65% this year. It's down to 37 cents.
Yeah, it's insane. And if you want to talk about where it was from its all-time high, which was, I think, close to $3, it's down 90% almost. I think it's 90. 80-ish%. So like, I don't know,
that's
man.
what I'm talking about, like this fly by night flavor of the week type investing where you're always trying to like jump on whatever is popular today when everyone's talking about today. And, the actual time you want to invest is when it's not popular. You want to invest in the stuff right now that people aren't talking about, right? The people that were investing in things like NVIDIA when no one was cared about NVIDIA, it was just another tech company, just another chip company. But now everyone wants to invest in NVIDIA when it's at its all-time highs. They're like, no one cared about Palantir when it was $7, but everybody wants Palantir at $200. It's very interesting, the human psyche, how it works when it comes to investing. Nobody wanted Pokemon. But now, it's just like, oh, now it's all expensive. Now I got to have it. You didn't hear anything about One Piece investing for the longest time. I talked about it. I talked about One Piece when Romance Dawn Blue Bottoms came out. I was probably one of the first channels on YouTube to talk about One Piece investing. No one cared about it. People got really hyped on it for a short period of time. It fell off. No one talked about it. Now everybody wants it. Why? Because it's popular and the prices are rising. Nobody wants it when it's cheap. It's the craziest thing, dude.
And like, don't hear what I'm not saying. Like, I am someone that believes in crypto. But also at the same time, I'm going to put my money where I feel like I'm going to have the best rate of return on investment relative to the risk. And for me, I'm someone, you ask some of my friends who I've known for a long time, back in 2017, 2018, I would not shut up about crypto. Like, I was such an advocate, especially when Cardano went all the way down to 3 cents. I was like telling my buddies, I remember the day it happened. It was after COVID. And like COVID just started happening and it went down to 3 cents. And I told my buddies, because they were talking to me about crypto, and I was like, dude, have you guys never heard of Cardano? Like, this is a coin, like 3 cents is insane. You need to get in, blah, blah. I think it could go to $1. Like, if you look at its previous all-time high, blah, blah. And I went in like an insane amount of depth of why I was a firm believer of certain coins, or why I felt like it was going to be the future and why you could make a ton of money off of it. So I'm someone that's been in crypto or has known the history of crypto in depth. But at the end of the day, I have now divested a lot of my funds from crypto, not because I don't believe in it, but because I feel like, as like Alex was saying, you start to get more institutional money and you start to see a lot more of it become mainstream. You see a lot less opportunity for return on investments relative to the risk as it was previously, right? Like there was so much money that was made off of gains of like Bitcoin going from 1,000 to 20,000, or from 3,000 to 69,000, or from 17,000 to 120,000. Like you saw so much volatility that was like money was made off of, or Ethereum. I mean, when it was sub $100, like I could go back to some prices. I mean, maybe there's some people that were around even earlier than I was. Cause I mean, I think I was only 18 when I got into it, but it's like, if you look at the moves, they get smaller and smaller. And unless we're talking about speculative coins, which I'm not going to, get into the next crap coin that could potentially end up being a rug pull, like I feel so much safer knowing that I can predict Pokemon with, wholesale being such a huge factoring. And then also considering the fact that Pokemon being the number one most valuable IP in the world, and Nintendo being one of the oldest tech companies in the entire world, there is so much validity to it as an IP, and it feels super predictable compared to cryptocurrency. And before, you were okay with that because you saw what the upside was. And right now, it just feels like relative to the risk, it's just not as good as Pokemon.
Well, here, let me throw some things out there. By the way, guys, I'm not a crypto bro. I don't hold either of these. But if you said XRP, it's at $2 right now, XRP to $10, or Bitcoin doubling. Okay. One of the people are going to say that's crazy for XRP. Well, look at the market caps. XRP, 120 billion. That would be going to like what, 700 billion or something. Bitcoin's at 1.7 trillion. It would have to go to 3.4 trillion to double. So it's like, again, not saying it's not going to happen, but you have to understand market caps play into this. Like you have to have $1.7 trillion pour into Bitcoin right now for it to reach double from what it is right now. And then you would need another $3.4 trillion for it to double from 170 to 340. And so these moves don't happen fast. Again, not against Bitcoin, but this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. This is going to be institutional money, countries' money, large scales of the population, all entrusting large amounts of their funds into it. Like these are not fast-paced moves. Whereas you look at Pokemon and you're like, well, then Alex, how is Pokemon double so quick? The market caps of these things are like $1 million or less.
I mean, we've talked about this before where, people will say, is it better for me to invest into this $4,000 booster box or this $200 one? And a lot of times, of course, relative to the demand of the booster boxes, we'll say it's safer to pick up these $4,000 ones in a lot of instances. But because the move from 200 to 400 for a lot of people is much more, because you start to, as things become more expensive, you start to take a portion of the population out of the buyer pool. And so in the same way with Pokemon, you start to see a lot less people being able to afford at that $4,000 price point. And so the move that needs to be made for that to go to 4 to 8 versus from 2 to 400, it's drastically lower. And I understand you can, buy crypto in certain forms of, fractions, but it doesn't change the fundamental viewpoint in which, similar to Pokemon, like Alex was saying, you have to look at what it takes to move an item as it continues to scale with its pricing, right? Bitcoin, like Alex was saying, you have to double a $1 trillion market cap. Pokemon, you have to double a box that's from 4 to 8. And it's just so much harder.
And
it could
literally,
happen.
it's like we're talking hundreds of thousands, if not like a couple million on like almost all of these market caps on these things. And it's just, especially with like the way, inflation is and how, people who are of higher incomes or wealthy or whatever, that's not a lot of money nowadays. It's a lot to like me or you, regular people, but it doesn't take a large amount of people to want something, or a couple big spenders to want something to move things on a market that has $1 million, $2 million market cap. These are peanuts. I mean, if you saw stocks and things with $1 million market caps, they'd be all over the place. They'd be as volatile it could be. And I just think that's what people don't understand about these big moves in Pokemon. And it flusters them because they're like, well, this doesn't make sense. How can you make 200%? It has to be a bubble. It's just like, well, no, it doesn't have to be a bubble. It's just, $4 million more in market cap poured into that because you had, tens of thousands of people all wanting to buy it. And those tens of thousands of people all had a few $1,000s to spend. It's not that crazy when you think about it like that.
I mean, if you just look at like, Evolving Skies versus Lost Origin, right? You can literally see this. Go look at the yearly chart, right? If you go look at the price of the all-time high for evolving compared to where it was a year ago, right? It went from 953 down all the way up to, we'll say 2,600, right? So a roughly, 150% move, right? If you go look at Lost Origin in the exact same time frame, at the low point, it was right around 250, and at its high point went up to $816. So if you just take that, it more than 2x'd. Lost Origin is a box that outperformed Evolving Skies in the past year. Evolving Skies is hands down a much better set than Lost Origin. There's no question about that. But that doesn't change the fundamentals of volatility when it comes to items that are much more expensive, much higher market caps, and how much longer it takes for those moves to occur.
Yeah,
So,
like I said, dude, it's like 10,000 people, which, we don't get quite that many views in these live streams, but like my videos usually get about that many, every, like all the bigger like market channels get that many on their regular videos, not the live streams, but the videos. And so you have to think like 10,000 people all spending $200. That's not a lot of money. I would say I would beg to differ that pretty much anyone that actually is in the Pokemon hobby and spends money on this hobby probably has $200 to spend. Well, that's $2 million. That's enough to raise, pick a product. It's enough to raise it 100%.
Yeah. Well, 100%.
I mean, but again, when you say it doubled in price, it sounds crazy. But then when you say it like that, you're like, oh, that sounds doable.
Not that crazy. I mean, I mean, we've gone through so many different individual cards for Pokemon and been like, if you take the math of how many there are in a PSA 10 and you multiply it by the price, that's the market cap. It's only a couple million to own every single one of this card, which of course, there's multiple different grading companies. There's, not all of it's going to be on the market. But when you still rationalize it that way, you realize how easily things can move with such a lower market cap, right? But do you want to start taking some questions here?
Yeah.
All right. Leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. It always helps the channel. And as always, of course, if you have a question, in all caps, say question, and then follow it up with the question that you have. And then we'll answer it. Otherwise, if you don't have a question, if you don't say question in the front, I'm not going to see it.
They ask a question and we answer it?
That's crazy.
Do you think this up?
Do you think evolving loose packs are about to take the next leg up?
Ooh. I don't know, man. Maybe if the box starts to recover. I think with the box coming down, it's probably going to stunt those two for a minute.
I think that's a good take. Yeah, I think that makes sense. When you see the box recover, I do think you can see that because the disparity between the loose compared to the sealed has definitely gotten a little unrealistic, but with the box going down, it obviously narrows the kind of disparity between the two. I just want to say, I love it when people, shout out to Flower City Cars on this one. I love it when people ask these kind of questions. I know this is not what the channel's about, but I don't know, man. I just love these questions when people ask stuff like this. What's your favorite condiment, Alex?
Favorite condiment? Hot sauce?
Hot sauce is a good one. God, I think for me, like, if we're talking like a condiment on a sandwich, for me, it's mayo. I feel like it's such a versatile baseline for everything, right?
Nah, dude.
But if we're talking
that spicy mustard,
but if we're talking like a dipping sauce, like a condiment, it's hands down ranch. I am addicted to ranch. Yeah. I am a ranch connoisseur. It is. I have a prop. My wife and my friends will make jokes that can Eli have a side of fries with his ranch? Because
they have ranch on the table with ketchup and mustard at every place.
Dude, I'm just saying, like, it's just a funny thing I do. But whenever we go to a restaurant, I always say, can I have like 3 cups of ranch? Because I am housing ranch with my fries. Like, destroying it.
And he's talking like 3 like soda cups.
Yeah, I'm actually just drinking it out of a soda cup. Dude, oh my god. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, like, I can't have a burger without mayo, unless we're talking like 1,000 Island, right? Like, I feel like most sandwiches, you have a baseline of mayonnaise, whether that be a mix with ketchup, or sorry, not ketchup. Wow, that's gross. A mix of like mustard or a mix of some sort of other condiment you put on top of it, like an aioli, right?
I think a lot of those are ketchup and mayonnaise. A lot of those sauces. Aren't
Oh
they?
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty certain a Thousand Island has I mean, that's the thing. Ranch for a lot of people, a lot of places use mayo as like a base. Like mayo is just a really good baseline, and it's used in so many things,
Yeah.
right? So that's why it's just so versatile. So that's why I feel like I had to throw in ranch there. But anyway, not getting too off topic. Have you guys seen the Mega Dream spoilers? Could this be? Wait, hold on. Could be? Yeah. Could be this blocks evolving sky. Sorry, the way it was typed out was super. Yeah. Anyway, no, it's not this blocks evolving skies. No, not at all.
And also, like, I think it's hard to compare specialty sets to main booster box sets too.
I agree. I mean, it was kind of like people were saying Evolving Skies 2.0 with Prismatic because it had a Moonbryon, but in reality, it's a completely different set.
Completely different.
Yeah. So I think you can't, I think it's very difficult to compare unless it just feels like an identical set, not only within the cards, but also within the product type. Because like Alex said, ETB versus booster box set, it's just so different.
What if there is just no more Evolving Skies? What if Evolving Skies is just Evolving Skies?
I know, right? But that's not how it works, Alex. You want the next evolving, right? Just like we've had Team Rocket Returns, and Destin Rivals, bro. You need the next Team Rocket set.
Destin is a good set.
Destin's a great set. What sets less items in the next 4 to 5 will have the biggest growth? I feel like we get asked this question all the time. I assume it's 4 to 5.
Dude, I'm with Prismatic. You guys know this. I am a Prismatic shill through and through. I will stand and die on this hill. I think in 2 years, when it's out of print, a lot of people are going to be very upset they didn't get more when they could.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a good take. Do you think you would put Destined up there?
I would, but like at the current price, I just like Prismatic more. Like if Destin would ever get a good size reprint and drop in like the 200s, I'd feel a lot better about it. But at 400 is still good. I'm not saying Destin's not going to do well, but I just feel like I'll probably have longer to buy it around this price point than I will Prismatic.
No, I do agree with you. I think that is that's definitely one of the biggest concerns that I have for sure.
And it's in the last block. Prismatic's is in the next block, so it's going to go out of print a year earlier. You know, there's a lot of things to think about.
I mean, we didn't even give, yeah. Wait, no. Yeah. When do we think Rebel Clash will really take off? The market has been sandbagging. That's such a funny question.
Flower City, dude. Any day now, man. Any day. I mean, dude, Sword and Shield base is kind of taken off. I think it's like almost a $600 box now.
Dude, it's insane to me that Rebel Clash is a $500 box.
See, I feel like that is taking off. How much more? I guess that should be the question: is what is taking off at this point? That box being 500 seems like it took off already.
All right, Alex. What would you rather have right now? Only serious questions, of course, in this channel. Would you rather have $500? Would you rather have $500 Rebel Clash, or would you rather have for $480 Chilling Reign?
Oh, Chilling, man.
Just saying. Just saying.
But here's the thing. I think a lot of people buy it because they're trying to complete collections. And they need a one box of everything in their collection. I think that's where a lot of the sales go.
I mean, it was
you got to believe nobody's opening Rebel Clash to try to pull. What are you trying to pull? What's in that set? Like the
Boss's Orders, dude. Come on now.
What is it? Yeah, Boss's Orders.
Like, don't know the main.
So you got to believe nobody's opening it. Yeah, so it's got to be just full set collectors that want one of every box. That would be my opinion.
I'm opening my $500 booster box to get my $50 chase card. Thank you very much, dude. I mean, it was a rhetorical question, obviously, but it just is a point of emphasis going to show you that Rebel Clash is currently more expensive than Chilling Reign. Which it's been, you know, what's actually crazier to think about for most of history, other than and recently, Rebel Clash has been more than Chilling. But
Yeah.
that's just purely based on supply. I want people to understand, for those of you guys that weren't in the hobby during COVID, there was a short print for Rebel Clash that occurred because it literally was the set that came out right when COVID was happening. And so it was the only set that they never did an ETB reprint for, because they did a reprint for every other ETB set. And then other than base set, it was one of 2 sets in the Sword and Shield era that never got a formal reprint.
Well, and also I think your boxes go for more if they haven't been vaxxed.
Oh, really? Is that kind of like a first wave versus second wave?
If they haven't been hit with the needle, and if they have,
are the pull rates just better?
No, they were stronger.
Oh my god! So what you're telling me is they've started to build up an immunity to bad hits.
That's what happened. They
and
got
so because of that.
Well, if you kept it around a bunch of other boxes, they actually got herd immunity.
Oh, the herd immunity! It's almost like when you open a pack, if you have like a crowd of people watching you, it just is like so much stronger of a chance you're going to get something good. It's like kind of the same thing, right?
That happened.
That makes sense. I believe that. I said I'm going to wait on team up reprints, and I'm still waiting. What is my next move? I forgot we did that.
Your next move is just keep waiting, and then wait on the evolving skies after that.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't give up now.
Dude, just saying, if you're really going to be part of the I'm going to wait crowd, you got to wait.
I'm just saying now's the time, guys. If you're going to realistically get in on evolving, like now is the time to wait. If you're going to get in, now's the perfect time to wait, obviously. So, all right. What got printed more today? Crown Zenith 151 or Prismatic? Crown Zenith. No doubt. Crown Zenith. What? Really?
You think Crown?
Prismatic? Crown Zenith, no doubt.
Dude, no way.
Oh my gosh. Dude, he didn't say ETBs. He just said in general. Do you remember how many Sea and Sky boxes were printed and put into the market? We were getting sold on distro pages packs for $1.50 of Crown Zenith.
That was insane. Again.
I understand it was a different market.
Dude, they have printed prismatic bundles, ETBs, collection. Think about this. You got the EV pouch. You got these new collections that just came out. You got the collections. Dude, there are so many collection boxes, so many products, and they keep coming every... I don't know, man. I think Prismatic.
Here's what I will say. I think in the long term, they will print Prismatic more than Crown Zenith. But I think currently that Crown Zenith is still ahead of Prismatic at this moment.
Wow.
But that's just for me personally, because not only did they have multiple reprint waves of Crown Zenith, but they also, on top of that, had a ton of Crown Zenith ancillary product that they just dumped onto the market. And I feel like with Prismatic, they obviously have been trying to do that, but it's not like I just don't think it's there yet. But that's just me. I mean, this is very anecdotal.
I don't know. Obviously,
yeah, we have no clue. This is all anecdotal.
It just feels like, honestly, like I still think it feels like that's kind of the reason that they've screwed up so bad with every other set is they're so obsessed with Prismatic right now that they're just like, they're not reprinting other things. Like they thought it was a better idea to put out a Prismatic collection than print more Destined Rivals.
I just don't understand why they have to come out with a different item. Why can't they just do what they did with, the Sea and Sky boxes and just print a bajillion of those or print a bajillion ETBs? Like, why has it got to be this new premium figure collection? You know what I mean?
Yeah, or again, they could have thrown out more 151 ETBs. They could have thrown out more Destined Rivals booster boxes. I don't know. Maybe they could have got Ascended Heroes out on time and all the products out of the same day. Like, weird stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But hey, at least we got Prismatic boxes on the shelves.
Right. What do you guys think about the EVEX 174 SPC promo? I think it's a real sleeper.
I haven't paid much attention to it, honestly. Have you?
No.
Let's look it up. What's it going for?
174 promo. Okay, that is the card that I thought he was talking about.
The rainbow.
It's fine.
I don't know, man. Like, it's almost a $30 card. It's just a rainbow. I know it's an Eevee. Right now, it seems pretty properly valued to me. That's just my opinion.
It's one of those cards that I look at and I just say to myself, like, it's not an art design that stands out in the same way as like the Glassbird promos.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
And it's already $30 for a type of card that is just, I don't know.
Here's the thing. The rainbow border cards were not extremely well received in the sets. And so I don't know if a promo is going to be extremely well received. When you look at like a lot of the promos that did really good, they're always like, if you go back to Sword and Shield, they're alt arts, right? Like the evolution boxes. If you look at like the Shrouded Fable boxes, they're like the alt art versions of Greninja and Kingdra. Like, I don't think the rainbow border promo is up to snuff with some of those. So I don't know. It seems properly valued. It seems like a $30 card.
We already answered this question. What are your thoughts on the Roaring Moon from Prismatic? Do you think it has a chance to climb up as one of the top 3 cards of the set? Top 3 cards within the set?
Here's the thing. At this point, man, this hobby went completely off the rails. In vintage, there was definitely always people that preferred certain artists and would artist collect. I've never experienced in the 10 years I've been in this hobby as an intense following for an artist ever. Like, this is crazier than like the old school artist. But so honestly, I put nothing past this market at this point. Who the hell knows? It's possible.
I mean, Shinji Kanda is the person that did it. So
that's what it's all. That's the only reason. Like, if it wasn't Shinji Kanda, it wouldn't even be ahead of any of the evolutions.
I think it's very possible just based off of that.
Yep. Yeah, I put nothing past this market, dude. People are wild, dude. People are just like itching to find a different method of like investing or collecting. They're just looking outside the box at this point, and that's the next thing in line is artist chasing. Again, and it's nothing new. It's always been a thing. It's just never been a thing to this degree, right? You never saw like random, cards that were, halfway down the set list jump up to like number 3 just because a certain artist drew it, right? There were people that always collected artists they liked, but this is a new level.
What was the most recent card Shinji Kanda did?
The Seismitoad, Black Bolt. There could have been one in the last 2 sets. I'm not sure. But it was the Seismitoad. It was the Magikarp from Paldea, the Giratina from Lost Origin, all those types of.
Interesting. Yeah, so because I was just looking it up, I thought it was the Seismitoad, but it's interesting because TCG Player has a filter where you can look at cards by artist.
Mason and Abraham said the Oricorio from the Megazard UPC also.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So the Seismitoad is not populating because they don't have him listed as the artist for some reason.
He is though, right?
He should be the artist. No, TCG Player just doesn't have it listed.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now they have the Giratina from Lost Origin, the Magikarp, the Roaring Moon EX from obviously Prismatic. You have the Magneton from the Pokemon Center exclusive for Scarlet and Violet. You have the Galarian Moltres promo from the tin from Sword and Shield. You have the Oricorio, and that's all it really has right now from like, IRs and SIRs or better. So yeah, it's missing quite a few.
Kabutop's Canto Fossil. No, of course I know who Shinji Kanda is. What I'm trying to say is, like, even like when you go look at like Sugimori, like no one had cards that no one really cared about, completely run to oblivion just because they were the artists. You always had people care about artists and collect artists, but it wasn't like, Ken Sugimori, he drew this common card, so it went to the moon because he was the artist. This following around Shinji Kanda is unlike anything we've ever seen, I think.
No, it's insane. Do we think we've reached the bottom for surging?
you know, for now, I mean, it's still in print again for a year and a half. Put it this way. I'd be comfortable. I think it's covered a bit. I said I'd be comfortable picking Surging Sparks up at $200 a box. If you can get anywhere near that, I think it's a good pickup. Not saying it's never in. This is what gets misconstrued sometimes. I'm not saying it will never, ever in the next year and a half before it goes out of print, ever get $1 below that. What I'm saying is I think it's a good price to average in at. I think it's relatively safe. And I don't think you're going to, I think, you know, if it does go a lot lower, you can always dollar cost average in, but I think you're going to be happy you have it in 2-3 years at $200 a box. That's my take.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's like 220s now. Like, yeah, I think it's getting a very
lowest
very good
listed
levels.
actually is Gold Star Sellers 250.
Oh, it jumped up again.
It did jump up again. Yep.
I mean, 250, it's not as attractive, I'll say, for the time being.
Holy crap, I lost my tabs. Over time, a lot of singles change places as far as the top cards in each set. What are your sleeper picks in the SE era that may not be the top now, but could be later? Mine is Roaring Moon Prismatic. Wow. So thinks that Roaring Moon Prismatic will be more than the Moonbryon is crazy.
I'm trying to think of some other sets where I think things could change places. I think Paldea, no way. You know, Magikarp's going to stay there. I think Groudon's going to remain there, and Paradox, obviously Charizard, Obsidian. Man, Temporal, maybe the Ghastly keeps running and dethrones the Raging Bolt. That's a possibility, right? I think in Stellar Crown, it's always kind of been a war, but obviously I think the Squirtle, if it already hasn't, could overtake the Terapagos, right? I think that could happen. I don't really think there's a lot of others, man. Nothing's going to overtake Pikachu and Surging. I don't think anything's going to overtake, you know, like Team Rocket's Mewtwo, even though everyone likes the Cynthia's Garchomp. You know, Journey Together, I don't know, maybe the Lily's Clefairy, but I doubt it because Lily's pretty popular. I'm not seeing a whole lot right now. Like I said, my biggest guess would be maybe the Ghastly over Raging Bolt in Temporal. No way, Greninja and Twilight. That's not going to happen. Maybe base set. Maybe the Drowsy goes on another run and overtakes the Gardevoir. Those would be my two biggest bets. Would be Drowsy or Ghastly. Maybe the Illustrations go on another big run.
Man. See, it's such a hard one for me to say. Because, like, there isn't one for me that really stands out on a personal level. I know, obviously, you've got artists, and it's so easy to point to those ones and just be like, oh, that one's going to do good. But, I don't know. I think the Ghastly is the easy pick, but it's not my favorite pick because it's not like it's a card that I just look at and I'm like, oh, my God, I love this card. This is such a great card, right?
Yeah.
You know, because yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Oh, I got one. I got two. I just thought of. I think the Reshiram and Zekrom will absolutely outpace the Red Victinis in Black Bolt White Flare.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely likely. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible. Yeah, I would say that probably makes the most sense. Yeah, I think my last big hit that I called was the Groudon. That was the last big one I was a huge fan of. Well, that's not true.
Dude, you called the Groudon pre-release at like $20.
Yeah, I wouldn't shut up about that Groudon card, dude. I thought it was so sick.
We got to give you your flowers on that one. You had that early.
Yeah.
When the set was released, you said that.
I was like, dude, this card. It's so funny because I talked about it on stream when it was $20, and then literally like a week later jumped up to 40, and now it's the most popular card in the set at 75.
Oh, I just thought of one more. I gotta go look at the Shrouded Fable. I think Persian will be number 1 again.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
It's like number 3. It's behind Earthen Vessel and Pheasantipity.
I agree with that one. That's my favorite one. Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's a good pick.
Persian and Shrouded should go to number 1.
As before, and we thought by November, 10 months from January, distro would start having stock. How will this affect the future market and future of LGS? So yeah, it's a great thing that you mentioned, because that was one thing we talked about for a long period of time. And here's what I'll say to this, right? This was something that we had discussed because historically speaking, we hadn't really seen a market go as crazy as it is going currently. And the last time we saw a major reprint happen during the Sword and Shield era, it lined up about 10 months after the fact. And there were some speculative rumors that people were saying that was roughly around the time of the reprint window for when Pokemon was able to push stuff out. So here's what I will say with this is that, and I said this if, of course, we didn't see any major reprints. So I'll just reiterate it. We're in no man's land right now. That's just it. That is literally it. We're in no man's land where we're in a market.
I thought you were actually going to say something.
No, I'm not. Of course not. I am always going to use information historically as much as I can to try and make predictions on the future. And right now we are in unprecedented territory. Like, I can make corollary predictions based off of market prices for the most part, even if it's higher or lower, just based off of an increase in MSRP, an increase in volume. But when it comes to supply printing, I don't have that number in front of me to where I can tell you for certain how much Pokemon is printing right now. So I can only just go based off of timelines of when they did their prints and then hope for the best. But that's just my best thing to say, is that right now, the rumor, which of course, as always with most rumors, it feels like more than ever, people are just going off of stuff
Do
that
you
they're
want to
saying.
start some?
Yeah, I love starting rumors.
Sure.
It's not, that 10-month window has nothing to do with anything based off of what Pokemon did previously. That just happened to be how long it took for them to get product printed out. And so realistically speaking, we have to be, as much as I hate to say it, like, we have to be okay with the idea that there could be no reprints coming anytime
Well, listen,
soon.
dude, listen. Abraham says that Anon TCG has said Q1 2026 is going to be insane with stock.
I didn't think that Anon said that. Oh my God. Sorry, that changes everything for me right now.
Okay. I just want to now what would your stance be?
It's all going to 0, 100%.
Okay.
That's where my stance is.
Abraham, thanks for letting us know, man.
Speaking of Abraham, I want to go back to what Sirloin Beef said, but I just realized we had a $5 donation that we didn't acknowledge. What's going on with that? We're off our A game. I'm so sorry. Reptaku7705. Thoughts on Team Rocket UPC at 160? I got 2 today, and my GameStop has about 100 more available. It's wild. Might go back tomorrow.
That's the Moltres UPC, right?
Correct.
Dude, I don't know. The Moltres UPC to me feels like a better version of the Terapagos UPC. They both don't really make a lot of sense, right? But it's definitely stronger than the Terapagos one was. But I'm not like super bullish on it. I mean, at 160 seems like a pretty good price. I don't have a good answer for you, Reptaku. Maybe Eli's got something. I'm very unsure on that product.
I think for me, if it was at 120, I feel much better about it. But because it's at 160, I think that it changes things. Because realistically, think about it from this perspective, right? If we're just going off of, and I understand it's an exclusive product, right? But if we're just going to go off of an item like the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, right? Charizard Ultra Premium Collection is going for about $400. If you say, okay, I got an item for 160, and let's say that this item goes to $400 at some point, you're talking about a little over a 2x gain, realistically, right? Like a 2.3x gain, right? What would that be, like 130% or something like that? If you got the item at 120, we're talking over a 3x gain. So it just for me, that number of 160 just feels too high. Like, I feel better about 140. I feel really good about 120, but 160 it just feels so high compared to what we can kind of see historically. And the only other promo, like, I don't know if promo is the right word, but like the only other specialty ultra premium collection that wasn't exclusive that I can really point to in the same way would be the Arceus V-Star ultra premium collection. I don't know if you remember that one. That one's sitting at 266. And so you're not even talking about a 2x return for an item like that, which I understand. We're in a different market. It's Sword and Shield era, comparing it to Scarlet and Violet. Prices are more expensive. But even then, like, it just doesn't feel good at 160. That's the thing that I just have to say about it, is that it'd be a cool item to have, but I have a feeling that although it'll probably do well in the long term because it's Team Rocket, I just feel like it'll probably get outpaced by other items just based off the fact of the entry point that you're getting in for the item at.
Yeah, guys. Look, with the whole Anon thing that everyone keeps talking in the chat, look, guys. Eli has every major distributor, all the same ones Anon does. Pokémon has a good amount of major distributors. We have other friends in the hobby that have most of all the major distributors, all different parts of the country everyone lives in. No one's hearing anything like that. And so, you know, unless this guy just has all these, you know, inside sources, it's likely a guess. It is likely a rumor. And, you know, just like anything else, once the time comes and goes, if it doesn't happen, then it'll just be a new rumor, a new thing. Right. And so, you know, it's been like this all year for, you know, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell everyone that reached out to me. Hey, if you want to go off what people say online, go for it. Make your plans accordingly. I'm going to do the same thing I always done. I'm going to operate on facts, what can actually be proven, what is actually released. Everything else, treat it as a rumor.
I just feel like there's been so many instances where people have...
Sorry, Mason's in chat too, guys. Mason has the major distributors, owns 2 physical LGS locations. Mason would be telling you the same thing. Mason said in one of his videos, like, you know, Rudy said in his videos, there's still nothing that he knows with any of his contacts in the industry, but, you know, he hears online of all this stuff coming. Mason's talked about, you know, listen to people who are actually in the know and not people who say they're in the know. Guys, there's tons of people that have an online presence that are in the know. No one's heard anything, but somehow these like specific Discord notification groups, they just know, or these random little YouTubers, they know. It's just like, guys, eventually you're going to have to wake up that, you know, people just, yeah, Pokemon's in the chat. It's just, he says they're not printing anything in Q1. Eventually enough of these rumors are going to come and go, and people are going to say, okay, we got to stop buying into it, hook, line, and sinker every time. You know, what they're doing is, it's sort of like, you know, if you watch like those psychics, like they'll start like probing and they'll try to find something they can like, and they'll use your reactions and your emotions, like, oh, well, let's go on this. That's kind of people they're throwing out like feelers, and then hopefully they get some right, and they're like, oh, I see, I told you. What about the 10 things you got wrong? Don't worry about those. I got these right. See, I'm in the know. It's just like, eventually people are going to realize it.
I think for me, because like I don't really watch his content, I think for me, I've had multiple instances where people have pinged me in the program and they've been like, hey, this Anon guy is saying that X is about to get reprinted, X is about to happen. Have you heard anything about this? And then I'll say no, and then nothing will happen. And I'm just like, okay. Until I hear like some major reprint occurring and he was ahead of it and was able to spot it out before everyone else did, which I've yet to hear that from anyone, right? Could be wrong. It could have happened, but someone usually pings me about it.
Here's the funny part too. This is all a chess move, by the way. Just us talking about him, he's already getting part of what he wants, right? It's exposure. More people are going to go watch his videos, find his channel. So like, hey, more power to him. Dude, here's the thing. I used to get like, you know, like worked up when people like, you know, start drama or, you know, dude, it's all just chess moves for the content game. Hats off to these people. If they're able to get more views and more interactions, and, you know, maybe he'll like, if people tell him about the clips, he'll use the clips and be like, yeah, whatever, dude, more power to him. It's all just a game. It's all just the content game.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to this question that was brought up, because I did want to touch on this a little bit more. I mean, here's my thing, Alex, and I feel like you can kind of speak to this, because we talked about this, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think we won't really see the big picture at this point until going into next year, when we get the numbers report for how much Pokemon really reprinted, or not reprinted, but how many cards were printed. Because we obviously have the numbers that they put out each and every year, and we can see the size differences in how much they've printed historically. But at this point, we can sit here and say, oh, well, Pokemon has been printing stuff, but they've changed the way they've printed it, and they've pushed it less to, LGSs and more to big box retailers. Or, oh, Pokemon actually has been printing, more, but the demand is just too high. And rip and shippers are actually just eating it all up, or, oh, scalpers are scalping it all up, or whatever. We can sit here and we can try and speculate at this point. But here's the one thing we can know for certain. All bets are off on this. And at this point, we realistically don't know how much they're truly printing until we see the numbers with the report going into next year.
Well, here, if we want to, here, I want to start rumors. I'll start a rumor.
Oh,
let's start one. When Pokemon puts out their print run numbers in whatever they do it, I think June each year, it's going to be lower than people expect. It's not going to be much more than they were printing for the previous few years. And people are going to realize that exponentially more has been ripped on all these rip and ship streams, and that they didn't print more. They're going to realize, oh crap, all these Scarlet Violet air boxes are going to be much more scarce than we realized. And oh crap, the first block of Scarlet Violet's already out of print by then. We better get our hands on some, and things are going to take a pretty good leg up at that point, we'll say.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
That'd be crazy, man.
Dude, if they come out in June and say we only printed like 11 billion cards, people are going to realize, wait a second, we're being lied to. There's not as much of this stuff out there as everyone's leading on. How can you like whatever 10x the amount of exposure to the hobby, 10x the amount of packs being ripped, and not even 2x the print run?
Yeah,
there's not going to be enough of this stuff, dude.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the numbers end up being. I think at this point though, I think it's much more likely that Pokemon normalizes not because of print, but it's because of people leaving the hobby, and then print comes in and helps, but print is not the reason for the correction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it will aid in the correction of the market and the normalization of the market, but it won't be the causation of it. It'll be people leaving the hobby because just a cool down naturally.
Yep.
Did you guys see Pokemon Center restocked black and white ETBs, but bundled them with Battle Academies? So sold out quickly. I guess that's one way to move those Battle Academy boxes. Is that real?
We just said that, dude. I take everything as rumor until I see. I don't know.
Some people are saying in the chat, Battle Academy is not on my order.
Dude, I haven't logged on Pokemon Center in
so long,
months, like forever.
Yeah, one of my buddies was joking with me today. He was like, one of my best friends. He was like, Eli. He's like, so I heard you were sitting in the queue for the new Pokemon set. Did you get my ETBs for me? And I was like, dude.
There's a lot of people confirming it in chat. So wow, that's crazy. It seems like it was true.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
All right, let's do like 3 more questions and then get out of here. This is a two-parter. In Europe, we're getting the second reprint of Surging Spark booster boxes this year. I know the U.S. market is different than EO, but eventually the prices will be the same for product
I disagree with that.
Now the reprints we get will affect the development of the price for long-term because of the large availability?
Yes, sir, Volfred. I disagree with that. I mean, there's all the data actually points opposite. The what's happened in the EU is never dollar for dollar affected what's happened in the US. I mean, for the longest time in Sword and Shield, people in the UK were talking about how they had, Fusion Strike and something else in stock. And then here we didn't have those, and the price was exponentially more, and it never corrected. There's always been different reprint schedules. There's different distributors. There's a certain amount of arbitrage that can happen overseas, but now with like tariffs and shipping and things, there's always going to be, it's not ever going to line up dollar for dollar. So I don't think it's gonna match the same price as whatever happens in EU.
Yeah,
and not just Surging, just like any product ever. It's not how it works.
I mean, honestly, no notes, retweet, nothing more to say.
Yeah.
Eli, have you received any early allocation numbers for Ascended Heroes? Heard some people are getting early numbers for ETBs that are 2 to 2.5 times more than the last few sets. One of my distros told me that we were going to get more of this than we did of Prismatic. Or was it Black Bolt White Flare? I don't know. One of the specialty sets they said we're going to get more for. Other than that, I haven't seen any confirmed numbers. So, and that distro that told me that, they're one of our smaller distros. Or I should rephrase that. They're a big distro, but they're one of our distros that we have smaller numbers with. So I don't realistically put too much stock in that yet. Most of our distros, I mean, we still have open orders like available. Like the deadline for the deadline for pre-orders on this product is this week actually. So you can still order it. It's still available for pre-order. So I'm not going to get numbers till after
and also you have to mention that, guys, like depending on what like level you're at of distribution, there's going to be different it's not going to rise in the same percentages. So it's like if somebody normally gets 5 cases, yeah, you can say they get 2.5 times more. So now they're getting 10 or 15. But if Eli already gets like 2,000 cases, he's not going to get 4,000 or 5,000. So
yeah, Alex,
it's not going to up the same percentages.
Didn't you get a massive amount of Pokemon product recently from your distributor? Didn't it?
Oh yeah, they doubled me. Yeah, so I went from getting 1 box to 2.
Dude, insane work.
So so again, I got twice as much.
So actually, one of the guys who helps me with allocations in the program, he actually just messaged and said we got numbers for one of our distros. They're like more middle of the road, so they're not our biggest. They're not our second biggest, like our third biggest.
Mason said it in the chat too. Getting 40 ETBs when you're used to getting 20 isn't saying much.
I know. So it looks like we were 2 cases less than Black Bolt and White Flare combined, but we got more cases of the other ancillary product from this specific distro. But like, it's so hard to say, man. Like until it's from my biggest distro, that's where, or my second biggest distro, then we can start talking about the differences. But like for my more middle of the road distro, like to give a good example, this distributor will typically give us like only 400 booster boxes. Whereas like our other big distro will give us close to like 1,000 to like 1,400 for our like top 2. So those are the guys that I pay way more attention to on the numbers.
I can say one thing. If the Pokemon investment channels want me to make their thumbnails for like the next, like, from January 30th for like the next like 3 months after that, I can, because it's going to be very easy. They're just going to say, look, everything's really high. Oh, look, it's crashing. Oh, more products coming, reprints, crashing. So basically what's going to happen is don't buy it at release, because there's going to be very few products to go around. Packs are going to be extremely expensive. And then we're going to keep getting all the different products and all the different waves. And the price is going to come down each time. And you're going to see the singles come down. You're going to see the sealed product come down per pack and all that. And then people are going to, make a big deal out of it and be like, Pokemon investing's over. It's crashing. But it's just how their release is scheduled. So
I know, right?
I hate to like give you guys the spoilers, but when you've been around long enough, it's so easy to see. But again, you can't fault people, because it's going to get the views. Like the thumbnails, the titles, saying things are falling, it draws in the attention. So it's like, why would, I get comments all the time. People say, Alex, why do you, repeat things and say the same stuff in your videos? It's like, well, I mean, everyone does that. They just change the set names. Like, oh, guess what? New set's out. We're going to talk about things are going to the moon. Oh, we're going to talk about things are crashing now. Everything's correcting. It's just like, oh, really? Like every set in the history of all Pokemon, how it comes out high and comes down after pre-release and release. Really? Are the singles crashing again? Did the first PSA 10 come to market at an extremely high price? Did it drop 50% from there? Did it?
Things will change the market when I start posting content again.
That's when we're in trouble.
That's when you know. Holy crap. What's going on?
We're in trouble, dude.
You guys posting content. There's actually stuff to talk about. Alex, wondering what are you doing with all your prismatic poster collections that you bought? Is it just for you to rip, ship, or holding? It's a secret, dude.
No, I mean, obviously some were broken down for rip and ships, holding on to all the promos, grading the ones that I think can get 10s, holding those. I think those are going to be somewhat valuable. I'm not saying they're going to go to the moon, but I think those promos will have a time where they have some value in the future. Those Evolution Cosmos promos. And then, yeah, just use them for rip and ships, All
right, we'll do one more question.
Nothing too spectacular or exciting. Just business.
Last question, then we'll get out of here. Is it still worth to buy older Sun and Moon boxes? I wanted some for my collection, but Gains might not be the best. Okay, hold on. I'm going to pause for a second here. I want some for my collection.
Yeah.
Gains might not be the best. Are you collecting or are you investing? Because those are two different things. Because for me, if I'm collecting, I'm collecting. I'm not buying for the investment. The investment is secondary, and it's something that is great that it occurs, but I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I differentiate the two.
Dude, right now, after the pullback, I'd feel extremely confident collecting Sun and Moon and XY stuff right now. Like, not all of it, but a lot of the boxes have seen a pretty decent correction. Like, I mean, I think Cosmic Eclipse, I'm seeing auctions end in like the mid to lower threes, maybe high threes. I mean, that seems like a pretty good pickup for Cosmic Eclipse, especially if you're looking to collect. I mean, because like I think you're right. I think it can grow in value over the course of time. I think it's a pretty safe entry point where you're not going to lose too much, hopefully. And I think their items are going to continue to get more and more scarce. Like, are you going to find other things out there that may outperform? For sure. But I also think it's about better time to buy than it was a few months ago. So, yeah.
I'm just reading I'm finally catching up to the comments about people talking about condiments, and it's just so funny. Oh my God. No, I agree with you on what your take was, Alex.
You just were you looking, or did you end up buying? You were going to buy a Diamond and Pearl box recently, weren't you?
Dude, okay. So I've been looking to try and find Diamond and Pearl boxes, but people are smoking crack right now, dude. People are smoking so much crack. I saw someone, so I got pinged in a post for this where someone was selling. Let me actually hold on. I can go back and see. Someone recently messaged me about it. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Okay, so someone said in a Facebook marketplace group that someone was trying to sell a Diamond and Pearl base set for $12,500 for a Diamond and Pearl base set. And in the same post, they were also trying to sell a Plasma Blast booster box for the same price. And I was like, dude, if you go look at Plasma Blast, you have recent sales for let me see in the message. There was one that sold literally a week ago for $8,000. So the guy was selling it for over 4,500 of the recent sale. So I don't know what people are doing and why they think they can just sell stuff for an insane amount above market. But like, you are not going to catch me lacking. That's all I'm saying. Like, so to me, yes, I would love to buy a Diamond and Pearl booster box. And I'm not saying base set. I'm saying anything from the Diamond Pearl Platinum era. And if you have one and you want to reach out to me about selling it, PM me. I will buy it from you as long as you're not trying to like wreck me. Because here's the thing, guys. Like, I understand things have gone up like crazy, but a Diamond and Pearl base box, I had multiple people that were selling it about a year ago for $3,500. And so for me, I am not going to pay for a base box over $10,000. That is just insane. And maybe there's people that are buying it at that price, and that's the market, and that's fantastic. And I'm smoking crack. But for me, I'm nostalgic of Diamond and Pearl. But if we're being honest with ourselves, it's one of the worst base boxes ever made. Like, it's just not great. They use CGI art. It was not well done. There was nothing nostalgic about it unless you happen to like Gen 4 Pokemon like I do. So,
let's talk about that a little bit. It's a good topic. So guys, it really depends on how you want to structure things and how big of a risk taker you are. But that's always been one of the things with vintage, with the older rare mints are better. The scarcity of it is in times when things are running, you can basically name your price. And if there's some rich guy out there wanting it that bad, and you're the only one around, you can sell it and see crazy gains. The downside is when things aren't popular, they're extremely illiquid. It's very hard to find a lot of people who want them at the current price points they're at. And so it's the reason I've never went heavy into older, vintage stuff. It's expensive, is because I want to be in things that are liquid like water. I want to be able to move freely in and out of things, get near full market price. I want to be in things where I can send a Probstein auction or something, or not Probstein. Oh, wait, DC Sports Cars. I forget. Probstein's in the doghouse right now. But be able to send to like a sealed auction consignment service and let them auction it for me. I know it's going to go within a range of near full market, and I'm going to get paid out what I want to. Whereas some of these other items, especially in down markets, you have no clue how they're going to do. And then you'll see one low auction end on one of these boxes, and everyone's like, they pucker up. They're like, no one's auctioning anything. We're going to let it sit by it now and cross our fingers. A buyer comes along in the next year or so. And so like, during times like this, yes, you can get extremely lucky and hit like, 2, 3, 4, 5x multipliers and some of that stuff. But when things contract, you want to be in much more liquid items. And for me, it just doesn't make it doesn't work for what I like to do. I like to be able to move in and out of things whenever I want. But if you want to take those risks on the vintage stuff like that, you can definitely hit crazy multipliers. So
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I understand that, the market is what people are willing to pay for it. And so if I'm too far off from reality of the market, then that's totally okay. But I think that there's also an acknowledgement that has to be made that for certain items that are extremely scarce, if there are no history of sales on an item and you look at items that are more recently available that have been sold and you're trying to sell it. Okay, so I just saw someone made a comment about it. I want your Diamond Pro box, but I'm not going to pay market for it. Dude,
he's been trying to troll the whole.
I think he's
chat.
trolling because if a market item is $8,000 and you're trying to sell it for 50% above market, that's not market price. I'm not dumb. Like, that's just such a dumb take to say. But anyway, I'll ignore that because he's just probably trolling. But like, the point I guess I was trying to get at with this is that right now you've got people that are putting up prices on items that have no sales history at the price they're trying to sell it for. And so for me, I'm not going to bite on that. If you went and you looked and you saw that an item like a Destin Rivals booster box has a huge sales history of $400+, then obviously if I want that box, I'm going to pay $400 for it because there's so much history of it. But at the end of the day, if you have an item that recently sold for $8,000 and you're trying to sell it to me for $12,500, I'm not going to pay $4,500 above market on an item that is that scarce just because you're like, oh, well, it just had a recent sale of $8,000. Like, let me try and sell it for more, let alone if you have sales of an item that sold a year ago. And you're like, well, based off of how the market direction is going now, I'm going to assume that it's worth exponentially more. Like,
well,
I don't know.
That's always been my criticism of the vintage and like the vintage bros is, these things do not normally sell for a lot of these boxes and a lot of these cards. Most of the deals are done, in private. They're not done on major platforms. There's no auctions or buy it nows without offers accepted that you can point to. And it's always like, trust me, bro, like I did a deal with this guy. We're both trustworthy. This is what we say. We paid for it. I did a deal with this guy at Collecticon. You can contact him and he'll tell you, like, there's all this kind of like he said, she said stuff. And it's very hard to agree upon a market price. Whereas, maybe there is somebody that actually got the prices they're saying and they did extremely well on it. But just because you got that price doesn't mean I can. Just because, like, you were able to sell your box for $10,000. When I go to try to sell it, nobody wants to buy mine for $10,000. So is it really worth $10,000 now? But it's like with the modern stuff where it moves freely every single day, everyone knows the market price. Everyone agrees on it. You're going to get within 5 or 10% of that market price, no matter how you sell it. Buy it now, auction, lowest list, whatever. Whereas, like, it's a whole different world back in and so it's like, if you want to, go try to play in that world, it's a whole different game. Whole different set of rules.
Well, the thing that I've always done, which thankfully has made it to where I can understand a lot better picture of what market is I have a lot of buddies in the market that I've made friends with that are in the black and white era, that are in the diamond and pearl era, hard gold, silver era, that have their own businesses that they sell, whether that be private sales or whether that be through Instagram. And I'll straight up message them and I'll be like, hey man, you're much more in tune with the market, like more than someone just listing something on like a Facebook marketplace group. What are you seeing this sell for? And then from there, it makes me feel much more confident because I can see a consensus on like recent sales, right? Like I had a guy who I was talking to specifically about a Majestic Dawn booster box, which for those people that don't know, Majestic Dawn is considered to be one of the best booster boxes in the Diamond and Pearl era. Super sought after too because of the low pop level X cards with the evolutions, right? And the gentleman was talking to me about it, and he more or less told me that he bought the box for right around $10,000. And this was about a month ago, maybe a month and a half. So for me, if we're just going off of that box, which typically speaking is always going to be the most expensive, when I see people trying to sell the base set, which is typically the most cheapest in the era, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just like,
And then again, like the market's so unoptimized. So it's just like, well, this guy's listing it for this on a Facebook group. This guy's trying to shop it around on some Instagram post. This other guy, you know, has it at a Collecticon. All three of them have different prices. What's the price? Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Some
no,
boxes
100%.
may be in better shape or worse shape. That, you know, there's a hole in this one. This one has loose wrapping. This one's minty. There's so many variables that it's so hard with the vintage stuff, man, to get like a legit, like, you know, price that you feel is fair. It really, all it comes down to is, do you feel it's fair, and does the seller feel it's fair? And if you guys both agree, hey, that's what it's priced at.
Yeah, 1000%. So
it's almost like trying to buy a house where it's like out in the middle of nowhere with no comps.
Yeah,
it's like, well, how do we value this house? Like,
and that's the thing, is I feel like right now, just because of scarcity, you're not seeing a ton of people really, what's the word I'm looking for, motivated to sell it. So the only people that are trying to sell this product right now are the ones that are wanting an exorbitant amount compared to what the most previous sales were.
And they may get it.
Yeah, they may get it. Another good example of a card, which I'm not into this kind of stuff, but like, have you been paying attention to some of the poncho cards?
No, but I did have like a consult call not too long ago with the guy that had a lot of them. And he was, one of the things he was asking me about is, you know, either moving out of them or continue to hold them. And
dude,
you know,
like,
it's hard.
It's funny because we had some people that were trying to sell us some poncho cards, and I was looking at the sales history of it, and we were going to get it below what market was. But dude, it's one of those things where items like that just scare me so much.
Exactly.
So much, because if you look at how much the gain was in such a short period of time, and you know, who knows, it could keep going higher, right? It could just keep going to the moon. But unlike with sealed product, where I feel like I have much more of an edge on, is like singles like that, it's just,
I think it's all,
you can get burned.
I think it's all great in moderation. I think as long as it's a small portion of your portfolio, I think it can be fine.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I mean, because the problem is they're so expensive now. Oh man, it's yeah, it's wild, man. We're in a crazy market. So I think that obviously a lot of these items will continue to go up over time. I mean, who knows what items will retrace, what won't. I mean, it's just how it is, especially as more items get ripped, right? Just gonna be more scarce.
What's funny is I think it's like we've said things, you know, multiple times over the course of streams, over the course of my videos too. And when it finally happens, people are always like mesmerized and can't believe it. Like, you know, there's so many people posting right now about like singles and slabs retracing and all the, like, it's down 30%, 35%. It's like, we've been telling you guys for months, like years probably, that singles and slabs are always more volatile. What does that mean? That means when things are hot, they are going to go up exponentially more than sealed product. And guess what? When things cool down, they are going to drop much more than sealed product does. This is all normal. Why do you think your boxes didn't go up at the same percentage rates that like Bubble Mew did, right? The same reason Bubble Mew is down more right now than a lot of the sealed boxes are. This is the normal ebbs and flow of the market. It's like if you invest in an index fund, it's not going to go up as much as a single stock. When things drop, it's not going to drop as much as a single stock. And so I think everything's just happening normal, like it always has.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this back during some retracements with COVID and the bubble that happened with that, where you saw some really rare items. You know, I'm talking like in the WotC era, like the booster box, like the first edition Charizards and other holos. They saw retracements. I mean, some of the biggest, most notable ones I would say was the Lugia from Neo Genesis. That one saw a massive retracements, not only in the 10, but in the 9s. Like,
that was one of the worst.
Oh my God, it was so bad. So
hey, again, somebody out there wanted to pay 90 grand for it.
Yeah, seriously, dude. That must mean it's market, right? It's crazy. So, I mean, it's wild. So I think that at the end of the day, time is gonna obviously always tell what's going to happen, but just be aware that for certain items, just don't go off of one sale.
So just like, man.
Here's a good example, and then we'll wrap up with this. I have a Swablu card, right? I've talked
Oh, the
about
one
this
of is that like a 1 of 1 or something?
1 of 4, I think. 1 of 5. Like crazy rare.
What's
I
it worth?
think the last sale from it was like 2003, or sorry, not 2003, 2023,
So that's
and
null and void at this
it
point.
sold for like $800,
Yeah,
right?
that's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna sell it for $800. You know what I mean? Like it goes both ways,
Right.
right?
But yeah, so like what is
What
how
do
do
you
you
value
price
that at?
that?
I have no clue, right? At this point, we're just talking and we're like, what are you willing to pay? What am I willing to sell it at for?
Well,
That's
because
kind of it.
here's another thing that people say a lot that I think is actually a wrong way of thinking as well, is people will say, well, throw it at auction and that'll tell you what the market price is. Not necessarily. What if the right, there's just not enough eyes that get on that auction, right? It ends at a weird time. It's auctioned out to, no one knew about it. It wasn't promoted. Like an auction that is promoted all across like social media and things and everyone knows about it. It's listed by a large consignment service or auction house. That is going to go for a different price than if some Joe Blow brand new eBay seller auctions the same thing. It's just the way it is. So it's like even auctions aren't always the telltale sign of what something's worth.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. So, but yeah, who knows? We'll see. So I'll be interested to see what those ponchos do, though. That'll be fun to kind of watch and see what the price volatility is going to look
Did
like
you
with
get
that.
some?
No, I didn't. I thought about it. I had one person offer me for both the Rayquazas. They offered me 16, another person offered me 15, and then it just kept going lower from that. And then I was like, honestly, dude, I don't even think I want
Oh,
to
I
buy
don't
it. I'm
even know
scared.
what I don't even know what the half art ones even
Well,
are.
I also found out there's a thing that people apparently pay premiums on, which is sequential grading. I didn't even know that was a thing, which I was like, dude, that's crazy that people are trying to like, oh
Dude,
my God.
the rabbit hole, it gets deeper and deeper. Yeah, the sequential grading is definitely one thing that it blows my mind, man.
Yeah.
There's
No.
real premiums. I mean, buy it now in auction listings. You can look at a bunch of different. There's people are into the sequential grades, man.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of you remember the Master Ball premiums that people were paying in Japanese 151 and how that was like the stamps were such a big thing and everyone was like paying $500 for like the stamp Pikachu and it's people are willing to buy, baby. So,
Get
but
your
yeah,
swirls.
no.
Get your swirls.
Get your swirls, baby. But all right, folks, we'll wrap it up at that. Thank you all so much as always for stopping by. Make sure you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Alex, link down in the description below. Check out more of his content. Anything else anyone got?
Good.
Nothing, Alex?
No, man. We had a good one today.
All right, we'll wrap it up at that. If you got your Diamond and Pearl booster boxes, you want to sell it to me, you can DM me on Discord. Links down in the description below for that. All right, talk to you later all. Peace.